G'day guys, back in the garage today working on the Land Cruiser. Today I'm going to cut the bull bar up, give it a fresh coat of paint and fit a front recovery point. I'm going to the Wadigans with my brother-in-law this weekend. So yeah, we're gonna get stuck into this. I'm gonna give it a bit of a trim. I'll give you guys a step-by-step as I do. Okay, so as always, the first step and the most important one is good planning. So I've used a masking tape that's a pretty different color to mark out where I wanted to cut. It took me a few goes of positioning the tape to get the angle I wanted and to trim the right amount off. But you know, you spend the time here and get it all right, and it makes the rest of the job a lot easier. So once that's all done, straight into the cutting. So it's worth noting I probably went through about 6 or 7 cutting discs here. The alloy is just eats through the grinding disc like it's nothing, so it's definitely worth grabbing a good amount of them if you don't want to be doing trips to Bunnings and back. I had a few spare ones in the garage that I also used up once I got through the few that I bought. So again, really important that you take your time here. Always wear PPE. There's lots of metal dust come out of it, so a mask, some eye protection is definitely needed, and the earmuffs are also a good thing to have. So this bit takes a little bit of time, which, like I said, just a matter of being patient, make sure your lines are nice and straight. So I found the easiest way to tackle this was to cut it out in sections. Just made it a little bit more manageable, and I could sort of check it as I went to make sure I was happy with how much I was cutting off and how it was looking. So at this point, I was just cleaning up all the burred edges, making sure everything wasn't too sharp, so that it was nice and safe if I have to get under there for whatever reason. Before I go any further, it's also worth noting this is just a temporary fix to a longer term problem. I do intend to go to a steel bull bar later that has a winch cradle and will be a bit more appropriate. But for the time being, I just wanted to make this look a little bit nicer. So I've started to pop out the plastics and bits and pieces I don't want getting paint on them. So the corner lights came out too. I gave the whole thing a sand back with, I think, 320 grit sandpaper. So that's just to make sure that the paint that I put on there adheres nicely for the time being. Again, if this was a long-term project, I'd go and get a metal primer and do it all properly. But this is a short-term solution, so this was the paint prep that I did. Once it was all sanded, I gave it a wipe down with some acrylic thinners because I'm using an acrylic satin black on the bull bar. And this will just help that paint stick to the bumper a little bit better again. So in my opinion, it's worth doing. If there's been any silicone or polishes on the bull bar, then it won't stick. So a bit of thinners beforehand is worth it. And again, now that we're looking at good preparation, the front end is actually all going to be swapped in an upcoming episode. It'll be a part 2 to this front end facelift, but it's still always worth masking up and doing a good job of it. It means that you can get your paint on the bull bar properly without spraying headlights, corner lights, and other panels. So when it comes to the painting, you can actually get a pretty nice finish out of a spray can, especially when you're using a satin or matte color. I've gone for a satin black. The important thing, which you can see here, is you don't try and coat the whole bumper in one go. There's lots of spots where you can see through it, but if you can apply multiple light coats, you'll get a much more even finish, and it just will look a lot better. So it's definitely worth taking your time and layering it up. So you can see here, I chose to do the bumper, but not the hoops. You would have noticed, or you might have noticed in the Watkins video, that I ended up painting the hoops black as well. I just didn't really like the way it looked having two separate colors, but you'll see in the next video coming out that the hoops are going to go completely anyway. So that's why that changed. So after leaving it dry, you get to do the fun bit and see the fruits of your hard work. It's time for all the masking to come off. So I just peeled that off and was careful not to let any of it touch the paint, just because it probably wasn't fully cured, it was just touch dry. And as you can see, it just looks so much cleaner. I think it's a great look for these. So then it's just a matter of putting everything back together. Again, because this is a temporary solution, you can see that I spray the plastics that I put back in the bumper. That's just a clear. It gives the plastic some of its gloss black and makes it look nice and dark. If you're keen on this sort of content, I've actually got a way more fun part of this facelift coming next week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and you'll be one of the first ones to see the new look that it'll have next week. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.